Cool. Hello and welcome to the Wednesday, March 14th. This is our 5th rendition of moving monolithic applications to Kubernetes. I am your host, Chris Nova, and today we're going to be going through and working on doing a live MySQL migration from MySQL server running on an EC2 instance into a MySQL server running inside of a Kubernetes cluster. On our last call, we were able to get our application deployed using some Helm hackery, and today we're going to try to get the MySQL component of it set up so that we can plug our Java component up to MySQL, both running in Kubernetes. There is a document that I put a loose agenda in that we can go through that's on the calendar invite, and I'll put it here in the chat as well. And to start off every one of these calls, we like to go around and do an update. And if you want to give one, turn your video on. That's my way of knowing that you would like to talk and share. If you have your video off but would still like to share, just jump in at any point. And in general, feel free to interrupt me at any time as well. So my update is we got a couple of pull requests merged in. I went through and I reviewed the MySQL proposal for today. This is a great starting point for us. This thing is like cut and dry, and we did a really good job with this. So I'm excited to do that live today and see what we can break or what we can figure out and what we can hack on. So that's my update. Going across the top. Next in line we have Sanket Patel. Would you like to give an update?
Sure. I just looked around the repository trying to understand all the commits. Just following up on the conversation.
Cool. Welcome. Good to see you. Next up, Josh.
Hey, everybody. Just one small commit to improve the README for port forwarding. And I, too, am very excited about the MySQL migration. So I'm happy to be on the call today.
Yay. Next up, Rob Robinson.
Hello. This is my first time here, so I'm checking out what is involved, and I'm interested in the MySQL just because of the distributed nature of the store. I think that would be a pretty awesome thing to see here. So that's about it.
Cool. Awesome. Good to see you. Next up, John Inama. Looks like you're muted. Oh.
Hey, yeah, I had to unmute. Yeah, hi, it's John. It's kind of my third call. I'm kind of hoping. I did fork the repo. That's what she said. But I finally try to play along at home. So I'm kind of excited to see the MySQL migration too. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Good to have you. Up next, the man with the plan himself, Paul, is the one who wrote the plan that we're going to be going through today. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess that's my update. I wrote a MySQL migration plan. It seemed to work on my laptop, so I think that means it's ready to ship to production, right?
Enough for me. Next up, Doug Fish. Good to see you again.
Thanks. Good to be back. I'm about 2 weeks behind. There's my update.
Welcome. Okay, and again, if anybody else has anything they want to update, feel free to jump in. I vote we start off and let's do what we did last week. I'll do a screen share. We can look at our, it's not a Trello board, but it's the next best thing. It's the GitHub project. Give that a quick once over, give folks an opportunity to bring anything up, and then we can go into the MySQL stuff shortly after. So let's see, how do I do a screen share? And I have 2 desktops because I'm in like our studio thing today. So, okay, are you guys looking at the GitHub page with Paul's pull request?
Yeah.
Rad. So we have these projects. Let's see where we are. We need to load the virtual machine with 20 gigabytes of data prior to the migration. We could probably write a quick bash something or other on the call today to just stick some data in there. If anybody wants to hack on that. We have, we probably want to rename the repository. I have a note in our agenda to go over this one as well. Last week we had talked about making this thing not specific to the Java programming language, but making it more of a Kubernetes run any large app that is bound to a state store in Kubernetes. Add ingress to Helm charts. We could probably do that today. Adding an ingress is pretty easy, and there's a lot of examples, so we can get that one done on the call if we get there. I don't even know if we'll get there today. And create MySQL pod in the cluster, which is what we're going to start off with today. Does anybody have anything else other than these items that are in our to-dos or anything that they're working on? Groovy. All right, so where's our agenda? So look at the progress bar. Let's check out this pull request. So this is something we talked about, I think, last week and the week before, which was adding liveness and readiness probes to our Java application. These are going to be important for us to be able to programmatically detect if our application is happy and healthy so that we can trigger on that if something goes wrong. Kubernetes will check these by default as well. It looks like we have a pull request here that goes into a lot of great detail about the health endpoint and the types of responses we would be sending to our application. And it looks like we have an example of how to Helm install this, which this is pretty much the same as what's in our readme.md. Josh, it looks like you had a few comments in here. Anything that's a deal breaker, or do we want to try to get this thing in before we get started today?
Yeah, just a small comment. I think that at one point we migrated from an underscore for the table name to a hyphen. And so we are actually introducing a breaking change if we bring the underscore back in.
So where is this at? That looks like it's down here.
So there's the comment isn't as necessary, but
are we talking about that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, other than that, I've approved the PR. Okay. Just want to make sure that we aren't introducing a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think we're going to be able to work on MySQL today without, we don't really need these checks in place. So maybe we can get that syntactical thing out of the way, and then next time, hopefully we have MySQL done, and we can look at, playing with our app and see what it's doing then. Cool, good update there. Next up, does anybody want to suggest anything for a new repository name? Another way we could go about coming up with a new name for this thing would be kicking off like either a GitHub issue or an email in the mailing list for folks to brainstorm and see if anything comes up. Ideally, I would like to use this repository in some talks I have coming up. I'm doing some talks in San Jose and Toronto and Vancouver, and it would be cool to have like a bit of a project with, here's the work of the community, and here's a list of people involved, and here's what we were able to find on these calls. So having a cool name might be important, especially because it's going to get some runtime.
We did have a +1 last week for Chrysalith.
Chrysalith? Yeah, but like it's our project. It's not my thing. Like you guys have done more code than you here than I have. I'll add it here. Maybe we can just start off a GitHub issue and see if we can't come up with anything. I'm not good at naming. Like I would want to call, like I called it Java prototype. I'm the most like literal person in the world. Oh, Kuberlith. I kind of like that one. Okay. Let's move these to GitHub issue, and maybe we can do like a vote. I can like put something on Twitter or something like that. Let's vote this one really quick. Okay, and if nobody has anything else there, without any further ado, let's jump into our plan of attack here. So I'm going to try to skim this as much as possible. So if I miss anything, somebody just jump in and let me know. I just don't want to sit here and read documentation on the call for half an hour. So I'm going to kind of try to do a little bit of both skimming and hacking as well. So this shows us how to use MySQL replication to live migrate data to MySQL on a Kubernetes cluster. This is so cool. As part of modernizing a legacy application. There's an assumption that the server you wish to migrate is using bin logging for the MySQL config expected to be set. I think that should be the first thing we check. Like, we should definitely check and make sure our server is configured the way we want it to be. So let me grab a terminal. This is the one I was working in earlier. And I'll zoom in if you guys give me just 1 second. So there's that. It's nice when we do this with like the OBS streams because you can have all this stuff like your windows all laid out beforehand. Okay, but we want to zoom in. Say when?
You're good.
Let's do one more. Okay. Okay, so our existing MySQL server is going to be here in EC2. We're using the bitnami MySQL 5.6.
Chris, real quick, you mentioned you had to rebuild the cluster. Was there a reason that you did that? If you guys want to know, I can go into a little bit of a rant here. I don't know what caused this, but I'm really interested to find out. But the kubelet started failing. I pulled the logs from Journal Cuddle, and it was looking for a PKA certificate material that was no longer there. I was able to pull the cert material off of the master node onto the single node. The kubelet then got a little bit further in the bootstrapping process, but then was missing a kubelet configuration.yaml that was supposed to be in etc Kubernetes as well. So it was breaking there as well. Basically, the kubelet failed, so the node failed, and we didn't have anything to schedule any work on. I don't know if this is a bug in kubecorn or kubeadmin that it went and deleted our authentication material because it was like up for longer than 30 days or something. But interesting behavior. I've never seen it before, but I've also never tried to run a kubecorn kubeadmin cluster for this long before either. So I'm going to report that to kubecorn and try to synthesize it and just have like a small cluster running, and hopefully we can keep that one up. For today, I just nuked it because I was like, we got shit to do. We got to get this cluster up and running. Cool, thanks.
Yeah. Cool. So we want to SSH into the server, and that is going to be Ubuntu at our IP address. At least it should be Ubuntu at our IP address. Oh, good. We can sudo up, and we can MySQL/user root -p. What is my password to this thing? Can we get passwords out of SQL Pro? Maybe not. Oh, I know. It's because I didn't set it. You have to pull it out of, that's right, these bitnami images. Like, put it in the boot logs. So where are git system log? Bam. There's our password. Is it not root? It says it's root. Let's see if we can connect here. Okay, so we can connect here, and maybe it's just a localhost thing. Nope. Well, in that case, we can probably, do I have a MySQL client installed here? I do not. Can we get a MySQL client from brew? Let's see.
Do you want to just check it's actually letting you put that password into your paste bin?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because I saw just before it pasted in an IP address for you.
So here, and we'll just go up here. Oh, good call. Okay, so I wonder if I can right-click copy, and it's like 1,000,000 degrees in here. Right-click copy. See if that does it. Hey. I would just think it was like shut off to localhost for some reason, which I guess would make sense. Hey, good call.
Very nice.
Okay, so who knows how to check if MySQL bin replication logs are turned on? I admittedly haven't done this in years.
It might be like a show status or show master status or something like that. Or you can probably check in the actual MySQL config files for the config settings.
Isn't it show status like -G or something like that?
If you do \G, it gives you a slightly more easier to read.
Yeah. There. And I can exit out of this one. That still looks.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's show master status. I could be wrong though.
Show master underbar status. Okay.
Yeah, alternatively, I would just jump in etc MySQL and check the config files.
Show master status. Okay, that's a good call as well. Empty set. Okay, so we can, how do you quit MySQL? Can you just type quit? Yeah. So let's cat etc. We don't have any.
It's usually etc MySQL my.conf, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's an opt.
I think.
Yeah. Bitnami. Okay, yeah, there's MySQL. This is so great. You guys are like just hacking with me. Thanks for doing this. So we have my.conf.
Yeah.
Nope, we don't want that. We want this one. Okay, so MySQL admin user is root. There's our base directory, bind address. I don't really see anything in here.
Yeah, okay, so check that included file and see if it has anything.
So the file starts here. Okay. So it looks like we're just defining DB buffer pool size.
Right.
Oh my God.
The other thing would be to check where the actual data files are and look for the actual bin logs if they're there.
Okay, so that would be our base path, which is base dir,
Yeah.
and then there's data dir. Okay, so is it opt bitnami MySQL data? So change directory to data. So we have our system logs, we have the PID for the program.
Yeah,
we have
doesn't look like bin logs.
Yeah.
So I don't know can we add the configuration options to do bin logging and it just figures it out from there, or do we have to kind of restart from where we were?
I think if you turn bin replication on, it will do a top down. It will like basically start writing all the bin logs. And then once you have a slave, I don't know if I should use that word, a secondary connect, it will do the same thing and basically acknowledge that it has read those. and then the primary will only sync deltas moving forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you look at the document I put together, there's an example config for the master, which it's funny you said you don't know if we should use that word, because when I was writing the doc, I was like, oh shit, should I be like using alternative words? But then you're actually like doing show master, show slave in the command. So you're like, well, I'm kind of just confusing issues if I try and do something else.
Well,
So if there's a good answer for using alternative words, I would love to.
I think the PC thing is to use primary and secondaries.
Right.
But we could also pull we need to be as pedantic as possible. And
Right.
if the documentation says master, we follow the documentation.
Yeah.
So I think either are fine for this call. This was the command we were looking for here.
Yeah, go back to the doc I wrote in the Java prototype in that old MySQL values link up a little bit. Yeah. So that's the the binlog format, server ID. Probably the only thing there you want to skip is the data because you don't want to mess with that. But the rest of it, I think we need to set.
Okay, and how would we go about setting this?
We can have a separate include file, or we could just add it to the one of the existing config files. Just the MySQL D square brackets section down.
Sure. Okay. I vote having a second include file, and that way we can easily turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go up.
Oh, here's a crazy idea. Do we want to just quickly tar this directory up?
The IB data directory?
Just the whole opt-bitnami MySQL directory. That way, if we fuck things up, we can restore easily-ish.
Yeah, I think if we wanted to be good database administrators, we would put a lock on the database first and then do this, but I don't think we need to be that intense for this.
Yeah, or if extra backup is on there, we can use extra backup as well.
Yeah.
Depends if we care.
I think for today, as long as nobody is hitting that IP address, we're not going to be making any read writes, and a single threaded read or write to our database should be fine.
That's kind of what I thought.
Okay.
Unless you changed it, Chris, it's still down, right? We get a 500 if we hit the IP.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, I don't even know if we can. It might pretty much be locked on the network layer anyway.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so who can help me tar this directory up without looking at Google? That's going to be the challenge.
All right. Just drop back one directory, I guess.
Okay.
And then tar czvf. Oh, don't use dashes. Come on. That's new, that's the new way to do it. We're old disgruntled sysadmins.
First yes, and now tar. You guys are taking my hyphenated flags away.
Yeah. And then do you do the directory name or the file name first?
I think you do directory and then
file name.
And then mysql.tgz. Yeah.
TGZ or tar.gz?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Ha!
We failed.
Let's.
Yeah, we did it the wrong way. So mysql.tgz, MySQL. Yay!
Nice. That's always my sign for I've been spending too much time at the command line, is when I start to tar things without having to Google first.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not checking our chat. Is somebody watching that? Looks like we have messages in the chat. Looks like we had some noise in the background, and somebody's suggesting we tldr tar easy to read man pages. Okay, so we have that tarred up, and we want to add a new configuration, and then we're going to restart MySQL. So, do I have Emacs on here? I'm going to make you guys. It's either this or I use Nano, because I literally don't know how to use Vim. So wait while I download a whole new operating system just so I can edit less than a kilobyte of text. What do we want to call this configuration file? We will call it replication.conf. Okay.
We'll want to kill the data dir directory. It'll be a conflict.
The data dir directory?
There was a line in there that overwrote the bitnami.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, just nuke that line.
Okay. Now we want to add it here. Where is our included? Okay, and do we use systemctl or do we use service? Ah, yes. Okay, so what is it? Service show all? And dash show all? I haven't used an init service in a while.
Hopefully
Status
you can
all.
just do service MySQL restart. I can't imagine they would have renamed it, right?
Is it MySQL or MySQL D?
Well, there's that. It's not there at all.
Right? This is why I wanted to check. I think bitnami has like a
Yeah.
They have like a startup script or something.
Those monsters.
And all the things.
Okay. We have manager Linux x64.run.
MySQL's there. Let's see.
There's a README. Oh, this is the MySQL README. What's in bin?
Looks like just the generic MySQL stuff. What about the bitnami directory? Or scripts, I guess.
We could do it the old school sysadmin way and just reboot the server.
We could. I know there's docs on it. I've read docs on it, so there's a way to do it.
ctlscript.sh. I think it was in a.
Yeah, if you go into /op/bitnami ctlscript.sh MySQL restart.
Opt bitnami. There's a ctlscript.sh restart.
MySQL restart.
MySQL, yeah. Nope, restart MySQL.
Beautiful.
Okay, MySQL started on 3306. Watch, the logs aren't going to be in var log either.
The bin log should be in the MySQL data directory, not the logs directory. Yeah, there it is. Don't try to read it because it'll be
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one's fine. The MySQL bin 0001. That's telling us the bin logs are starting.
Okay. So
That's
we
good.
should be able to watch that and actually watch it grow.
Yes. And I think there's actually a command for looking at actual binlog files.
I guess there's only 4 kilobytes of data. Can we just add a bunch of, where is Java prototype? I'm gonna make this super hacky. Just wanna make sure this is working the way we want it to. Oh, it's truncated, it's linked to 254. So we're gonna have to add new records. I can't add a huge record. Let's just assume that it's working as expected. So let's go back to the Java doc. Are we ready to bring up a new database?
Yeah, so we don't need to do that first one because that's the original database. It's emulating the one that we've actually got.
Okay.
So we can start at the deploy new MySQL server.
Ah, okay. Why did I zoom in?
And you'll want to git clone this in so you've got access to those files.
Git clone this into the server or onto my local?
Wherever you're going to run Helm from.
Okay, I already have it there.
All right, perfect.
Okay. So we're going to start here at the deploy the new MySQL server. So.
Now, did you do that before the call, Chris? Did you say that you had that backup on the new cluster?
Nope, I was just getting us up to where we were last call. So we have Java prototype installed, no MySQL server though.
Word.
And then like I had to go and get like the Helm RBAC stuff, and I got the port forwarding command in my history. So we're like we'll at least be like a head start on that whole bit. So let's open up a new tab here, and we'll keep our MySQL server handy in case we need it. And I'll just clear it so it's not bothering us. Okay, and we want to run this Helm install new. The name of it is new stable MySQL chart MySQL values.yaml.
Yeah, so you need to run that in the directory that those files exist.
Doing these Java monolithic calls, like I finally have a home workspace directory again for the first time in years. Okay, so let's run this.
I think you need to go up into the docs directory and then maybe one more. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So last call, we ran into the issue where that cluster was having trouble mounting a persistent volume. So you may want to kubectl get PVC to confirm that it's bound to the right node.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do our new pass. We'll export that. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
KC, not found. Where do we have KC?
Instead of kubectl or kubectl, however we're going to pronounce it this week.
Kubectl. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we have our new pass as a variable. And we want to create some tables in the original MySQL DB. So when we say original, we mean we're creating tables in the, not the Kubernetes MySQL, but the original one. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. You can skip those because we already have some data that's going to get migrated across. This was just to put some stuff there.
Oh, I was like, are we creating a table that MySQL uses to do replication? Like, what are we doing here?
No, it's just using Sysbench to dump a bunch of demo tables for whatever.
Okay.
Where do we need to go to?
Set up replication.
Yeah, this is the one.
So let's get in our new pod.
If someone wants a cheap pull request, they can fix everywhere I put KC instead of kubectl.
Or I could just alias KC equals K.
That too.
Okay, so do we have new pod exported? Have I done that yet?
Yeah, that was what we just exported a second ago.
I thought that was new pass.
It was both.
Oh, wow, that was a long command. Okay. Oh, not system preferences. Okay, so this is going to exec us into the pod. Minus T is TTY, and minus I is interactive, and then we're going to be running bash for our prompt here. So this is like similar syntax to Docker, and this is like how you would get a shell in one of these containers in Kubernetes. That's my, for folks at home, moment there. MySQL does not exist. We need to get our pod. What did we do here?
Wait,
be the mounting issue.
The pod name was right, but it was complaining it wasn't working. So maybe just do a get pods and see what's going on.
Yeah, even though the PBC is bound, it may not be mounted correctly. So it'll tell you in your status when you do kubectl get pod.
Which namespace?
It's in just default.
Default.
Yeah, pending. So can you, I put an issue or a comment in the issue. Can you do kubectl get SC? Okay.
What is
right,
S?
we just have the default. This is storage class.
Storage
so
class.
Now we just have the default AWS-EBS provisioner, but the stable MySQL chart apparently is struggling to do one of two things. So if there is a dependent chart with another bound volume, you may end up having a pod land on a node where the disk is not mounted. So if you have multiple nodes, in this instance, we just have one primary controller, right, and one worker node. Is that correct?
Yep, we have one that runs a control plane and one that works as a node.
So this is an issue that I thought was resolved in 1.8 for all providers, but it seems like it's either resurfaced specific to AWS storage, or it was never resolved and I just assumed that it was. The annotation.
This could also be an issue with how we are setting up our cloud provider in Kubicorn as well.
It could be. This is true also for a recently deployed Tectonic cluster, so I wouldn't point to Kubicorn specifically. But
I always try to blame myself. Like I always do that.
And I don't mean to throw CoreOS or Tectonic under the bus. I'm just giving you a live example that I'm dealing with. But if we want to name our storage class and include the zone, and by zone I mean availability zone, where the worker node exists, then we will force it to land on the right node. When I say it, the pod for MySQL, to land on the right node where the volume has been mounted.
So for the sake of the demo, we can add persistence enabled false in values.yaml and just redeploy.
Correct.
Okay. We want to do that in the Helm deployment of MySQL. So
yeah,
let's delete this and redeploy it.
Yep.
Or you could upgrade and set the value.
That's
probably better up deleting it because I don't know how well it'll deal with pulling the volumes out and whatever.
Okay. So we want to Helm delete.
Yeah, -- purge new.
Okay. Helm -- purge is important so that we can reuse the name, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is another moment for folks in YouTube. if we didn't do the -- purge and we tried to create another deployment with Helm called new, it wouldn't allow us to. Okay, so now we want to find our Helm install command in our bash history here.
I would edit that values.yaml and put it in there, and that way it persists in case we want to run other Helm commands without having to add all the options in.
Okay, so that is, where is that YAML file?
It's in old MySQL, sorry, new MySQL values.
New MySQL.
So that persistence enabled, just change that to false.
And then we can do our Helm install again. That looks good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay, so now still pending.
Well, that's strange. It is a deployment, so maybe check the deployment.
I'm going to describe this pod. It's explain. That's what I'm trying to do.
Describe pod. You just missed the noun.
How do we go back? Oh, there we go. That's why. It's like, what's going on here? So we're getting another failed scheduling persistent volume claim. Interesting.
So apparently it didn't accept that value because it wouldn't be trying to handle persistent volume if it were an empty dir on the node.
Let's check this again. MySQL values.yaml. So we're doing persistence enabled. So let's check the chart because we're just using the stable MySQL chart, right? Yeah, that looks right.
Maybe do an edit of the deployment and see if it's showing something you see.
Where would it be reflected in here?
Should be somewhere right at the bottom.
Let's see. Okay, so there's volume mounts.
Yeah, we're here.
Persistent volume claim.
Right, which is checking for if values persistence.enabled. Which is this one of those things where if you spell false wrong, it assumes you mean a string versus a Boolean?
Oh, do I need to put a 0 there?
It might be a 0, it might be a false with a capital, or it might be something crazy like that.
Let's try this again. And then it just didn't know what to expect, so it defaulted to true, which is why true is working.
That's what I'm guessing. Or it put it as a string and is then doing a string check, right, versus a Boolean check.
Okay, do we want to try to fix the Helm Boolean, or do we want to just try to tweak this deployment? I vote we try to fix the Helm deployment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Here, I am just gonna exit out of this. There we go.
Oh, I bet you it's because it's a dot and not a colon and down to the new.
You bet it's because it's
YAML, right? And
Oh, right. Yeah, it can't be persistent.labeled. It would be carriage return persistence, and then you would have two, right? Persistence would be the parent, and then
Yeah.
because it's YAML enabled would be the next line indented. Yep, perfect.
And you need a colon under persistence, obviously. Yeah. Let's try that again.
Yay! How did we miss that? Well, so like real quick. So YAML is a problem for everyone. Just don't think that if you don't get stuck by this, that like, you know, you're in some situation that nobody else gets into, because we all struggle with YAML. So let's do our helm delete command again. Okay, and we want to do our helm install command again. With our better values.yaml. Now we want to get pods. Hey, pod initializing.
Success.
Okay, so let's try this again. I bet that's just going to take a few minutes to come up. We can go back to our documentation here. So we just did this. Oh, you know what? We should add an issue to fix that YAML that we just edited. Okay, I can add more color to that later, but that should at least jog our memory. Okay. Okay, so we were trying to get into a shell in that pod was our next step.
Yeah, you want to go back and run that export of the new pass and new pod. No, the new one. A couple of lines down. Yep.
One?
Yep.
Ah. Is there a KC in here?
Not this time.
Okay. Ah, where's
Do you
that?
want to just alias it?
Yeah. Okay.
That's just wrong.
It's a, I mean, okay, so we want to skip creating tables. We want to set up replication. So here's where we are here. Okay, and we got 8 minutes left. It's like, can we hack this in time to make it by the end of the hour?
We may need to set a security group or something to allow this guy to access the original database.
So let's go look in EC2. So we have our new node. Oh, this would be so hard to do if we had a bunch of nodes. And we would have to track down which one it was running on. Wow, stateful sets would be a big deal here.
Yep.
Okay, so we know it's running on this node, and we know we're going to want to hit this instance on 3306.
Yeah.
So we want to go to this security group. And we want to allow, okay, so 3306 is open to anywhere. Oh my God.
Oh, security.
Okay.
Problem solved.
Okay. Well, that makes it easy.
That can't be the bitnami deployment. Is that just out of the box? It's open to anywhere?
I think you have to define, when you create a new bitnami instance, you define your own security group. If I had to guess, that's totally a Nova right there. That was totally just me, like, YOLO, whatever. This thing will only be up for a day or two. Which, and I kind of, when I was setting this whole thing up, I kind of, you know, had that mentality anyway. Just because I kind of wanted everything to be broken. Like, I think one of the lessons we might have just learned was auditing your infrastructure before you go and start doing any of this stuff is probably a pretty powerful first step, just to make sure you kind of even know what you're dealing with. Okay, so that's open. So we should be able to access it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have any outbound rules closed. By default, all AWS security groups have everything open outbound. So that sounds fine.
No. So we're going to run a MySQL dump. Now in the KC exec we just did, there's a MySQL dump command we need to run.
Okay.
And we'll need to adjust the host for the MySQL database, because it's not old MySQL, it's whatever IP address is on the MySQL database.
Yeah.
And we'll set the password as well.
So the old is, we can use its internal IP address. Let's just do its public one to be safe. So we're going to go with this. And password?
Yeah, change that to be whatever our password was.
I'm going to right-click copy here. Okay, so there's that.
Now, assuming, oh, wow, it worked.
Wow.
What? And so that should have created a SQL file as well as put it into the SQL database. So if you check, I think it's temp. There should be a SQL file there. Yeah. So maybe just do a WC of that to see how big it is.
WC.
WC-L. You see how many lines are in it?
Word count.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks big enough.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Okay. So now we need to import it, or what's our next step?
No, we imported it. So we teed it, so it went to a file and also to MySQL.
Yeah, this was really beautifully written.
Oh, we teed it both to temp, and you actually pumped it into MySQL as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. +1. This is really beautifully written. You've done this before.
Had the wrong password though. Or did we replace it? After that pipe, it does -p, not a secure password. So it
that's the password for the Helm chart.
The new Helm chart.
Or the new one. Okay, great. Okay, cool.
Okay, so let's exit and then set the slave to read only.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Did that, yeah?
Yep.
Create replication user on master. We have 3 minutes.
So you'll actually want to just run the MySQL command and skip the kubectl exec, because you're going to run that in the master.
Let's see if this is the right master. It looks like it is because it's taking forever. Okay, so we want to do grant replication.
Yeah, so if you take everything after the -- and just change the password, it should work.
This whole snippet here?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's the right one. I think ours starts with 5.4.
Okay. 5.2.
5.2.
So this is interesting. If we had more than one, I still can't stop thinking about this. If we had more than one node and we did have a security group concern, we would hope that all of our nodes would be in the same security group and we could just open that to the entire security group. But I think depending on which deployment mechanism you used, that may or may not be the case. I think in COPS, we have different security groups for different instance groups, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, you could open the CIDR for whatever private network block the kube cluster is on.
That's true.
And just allow anything from Kubernetes if you don't care that much.
Oh, this is the wrong IP address again.
But it would be interesting to see if anyone's got like a good practice for doing security groups for Kubernetes clusters to access other things. Because that does sound like a problem that a lot of people will have and will solve in terrible ways.
Yeah, I think this is one of our, finally, one of our first solid use cases for potentially writing some tooling to solve this problem, or at least just highlighting the problem in general.
Even if it were just the temporary creation of the security group long enough to do the data transformation and then delete the security group to close the hole, that would be preferable than to leaving the security group indefinitely.
Yeah. So let's grab that. MySQL minus P. We'll go about 2 or 3 minutes over today just because we're so close. And then if folks got to drop now, we understand. And I've got another meeting, but I can ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Sorry, T. Copy, paste, and let's get. Very good. These copy paste commands are so great.
So let's have a quick look and see if there's anything else we need to do on the old server while we're on here.
Okay.
You just look at the docs and scroll down a little bit. Yeah, okay, I think we're fine for a while now.
We don't need the master logs? Position?
The MySQL dump has that.
It does, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, this is our next command to run on the new pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's pesky dollars.
Pesky dollars. Unknown MySQL host. Old MySQL.
So never. You don't need to worry about that. That's just testing connectivity. You could put the IP address in there of the database. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just do that, yeah? Yeah. So we want the old IP address, which is here. And we want to shoot this in.
After host equals.
Out of the way. Host equals.
Philosophically, this is a really good example of how difficult it is to codify this replication event, right? Everything is unique to the environments that we're dealing with. So even though we have a commit that we're very happy with that we're going to merge, it's not something that we can simply copy and paste because the original values are different than what we have in our examples.
Yeah. Why is this? Oh, that's why. There we go. Show grants. Right, that's what we want.
Yeah, you want the semicolon inside. Yep, that's it. Perfect.
Okay. Next one.
Yeah. So this is where we're getting the master log status from the MySQL dump that we took. And that's the reason we did that T, so we could just get access to that file for this one step.
Okay.
So you might want to paste that into some way you can edit because we need to change the master host. the master log file and the master log position.
Okay, let's. Where we're in database cutover, let's call this command.sh. Okay. Master host.
Oh my gosh, sorry about that.
You're good. Master password.
I know that password was fine.
Oh,
Because
okay.
we created that replication user.
Real pass like that?
It was REPL pass, REPL.
Okay. MySQL log file.
Yeah, so what we had in the output of that last file.
Which was 2. That looks good.
Was the log position the same?
I don't know. Let's see.
120.
Okay.
I wonder if it lost the environment variable I'm running as a script.
I'm going to cheat. Okay.
Yes.
And I think the rest of these are just checking that the data has replicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that?
I think that's good for today. I'll leave these systems in place, and next time we can start the call off by saving a record in the old database, watching it come through to the new pod, and then opening up the Java application and wiring that up to the new MySQL slave.
We definitely need to solve for persistence, because if this pod falls over between now and next week, we'll have to repeat this entire exercise.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, does someone want to take that as something to figure out how to get that Helm chart working with persistence?
Yeah, I started a conversation on that issue. If folks want to jump in, just looking at storage class, we already have an issue, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's an annotation or something we need to put in for Amazon. I have seen something like it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's number 42. Yep.
Okay. So we'll try first over next week. We'll try to get number 42 looked at. We will start off by doing a round robin, saving the record in the old database, watching it go to the new database. And then we will jump into the new pod and start tweaking the deployment. Hopefully we can get this thing stable in Kubernetes.
Can you just run a show slave status on
Sure.
the thing? I would hate to leave not knowing if we actually got it to work.
Okay.
Cliffhanger.
So is there one I can steal from in here?
Yeah, just up a little bit. But this line here. Yeah, show slave status.
Yeah. I like kind of don't want to run it because I'm afraid it's going to work. And then I get like so nervous. Okay. Do we need to change the password?
Nope.
Nope.
What?
Yay!
What? All right, now run that again and just run it MySQL and do a show databases and show tables and see what happens.
Java prototype.
What?
Get request, yo.
What's the name of the table?
Get requests.
Get requests. Ah. Select start at star from Java prototype get requests. That looks good to me. Oh,
Isn't it just select star?
Right.
oh, why did I do star dot star? Java
And-
prototype. Does Java, because it's
Should it be just get requests and then we would set the table before the -e? Sorry, set the database before the -e.
So I just wanted that in the history. So set database.
No, before the -e, if you just put the database name.
It's here.
Yeah.
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 Now. No
Oh,
database selected.
You lost
can
it.
remove from the command when you switch it.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
663, and let's check in pancakes. Look at that, 663 right there. Yay. Paul, this has been great. Thank you so much for doing this.
No worries. And don't forget, we have created a new MySQL user that's open to the world on that server and published that on YouTube.
So before next week's call, I am going to, I don't think we have 3306 open to, the new MySQL server should not be open to the world, but the old
No,
MySQL
the old one is.
The old one.
And any changes to that will get replicated to the new one.
Okay, so let's shut this thing down. And I'll come back and I'll add 3306 to the IP address for the new node, and I will add it to myself here at the office. And if anybody else wants to be added, just ping me and I'll make a rule for you.
Sweet.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I think it would be helpful for us to stand up the old Java prototype at some point so that we can write and ensure that the application itself is actually creating data that replicates.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll start there next week.
Sounds good.
Freaking great call, everyone. Good job.
Yeah, kidding. It was awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Okay. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.